Welcome back to the Power Six Podcast. Here's your host, Isaiah Rose.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of the Power Six Podcast. A real milestone here for us. And unfortunately, Bradley and Headley are not here to make it with us. We got Max, Connor,
Missed
Devin.
opportunities for them.
It is. Devin, and then myself, Isaiah, to hear. And, we get to kind of celebrate this together. With only four of us, it kind of means that you people on YouTube get to see a closer view of our handsome faces here. So, without further wasting everyone's time, let's go ahead and pass things off to Max for this week's agenda.
Thank you, Isaiah. We'll get straight into it. A week 8 reaction. Less games to talk about this week than last week for sure. Last week was chaos, but we'll get straight into it. Ohio State beating Iowa 54-10. Not much of a surprise here, as the largest spread that Iowa had faced in over 20 years, and the Buckeyes covered. Petras didn't play good. He ended with 5.9 QBR, and we saw Padilla for a little bit, but he didn't look good either. Just that Iowa offense, it's just
Iowa
really
offense,
bad,
man. It's not getting any better the whole season, and it won't until next season. Even if it does, it's bad, historically bad.
So I almost predicted the score the point margin of this game. I said it was going to be 49-0. They won by 44 points, so I was pretty close. But I think Brian Ferentz was right. Padilla is not looking that good either. Granted, it's his first time playing against Ohio State.
Pretty shitty position they put him in.
Yeah.
Down 20 points. First time getting a snap all season against arguably the best team in the country. And then first snap he gets, fumbles it.
Yeah.
Just under center.
Yeah, it's tough to throw anybody into that situation. You can kind of compare it to Nebraska Fire and Frost the week of the Oklahoma game. Nobody expected Mickey Joseph to go out there and get a victory. So tough for Padilla. I think he got a little bit of playing time last season, though. So hopefully he can kind of – and who do they have this week? Isn't it Penn State?
Western.
Oh, well, he has an excellent opportunity to bounce back.
On Iowa's depth chart, it's listed as Padilla or Petras to start this week. So I heard they're both going to be getting some reps.
Yep, I think they'll be splitting time, which I think will be good for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully it can spark the offense a little bit. Kind of similar to what the Patriots did last night, and it did nothing.
Yeah. It's just a shame that Iowa's wasting this generational defense right here.
I was just going to say that Iowa's defense still played really well, even despite Ohio State scoring 54 points. Iowa's still 8th in the country in points allowed per game.
Yeah, their defense played really good, especially in the first half. And then basically by the time of the second half, they're just so exhausted from going right in after another 3-and-out from the Iowa offense. So, they got some deep balls thrown on them in the second half, but it doesn't really mean much. I still think their defense is going to be fine the rest of the season.
Yeah, they only allowed 66 rush yards against Ohio State, which is pretty damn good. Iowa had 6 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. It's going to be tough to win a game regardless with how that offense plays, but almost impossible to win a game then in that instance when you're giving up the ball 6 times to Ohio State.
Yep, and some of those interceptions were just bad, man.
Very first play of the game.
Very first play of the game. And then he threw Petras threw another pick, just pick 6 on that one, just right to a guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a shame that.
Fire Brian.
Yeah. Kirk, he's been getting kind of he's been getting grilled on that in the press conferences.
Even first play of the game, the interception, the play call was instant snap to Petras, roll left. Why is Spencer Petras, one of the worst quarterbacks in all of college football, rolling to his left and throwing across his body on the first play of the game?
Yeah.
It's a terrible play call.
Yeah. I would agree.
But yeah, Kirk is not firing Brian till the end of the season at least.
I've been hearing a lot of rumors that Kirk Ferentz might retire after this year.
Yeah, maybe. But
he'd rather retire than fire his son. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
I mean, he is like 70 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's been there for like
been there
23
a
years.
long. He's been there a long
Longest
time.
tenured head coach.
Yeah.
I thought he was there for like 27 years.
He's been there since 1999. This is his first year.
So yeah,
When I was
23
born.
years.
Yeah.
Only head coach I've known.
Yeah. I know it's a shame that this is happening because
Wow. Must be
It's
nice.
kind of ruining his legacy a little bit.
yeah, it is, which really, I mean, sucks for Kirk and the Iowa fan base because he's had a really nice, very long career there. And now it's just kind of, it's
Can't let
not, I mean, it's not going well.
Can't let his boy go down though. Like
Yeah.
this.
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar to TCU's situation when they fired their coach last year. He had been
Gary
with them
Patterson.
he had been there for a very long time. He's got a statue outside of their stadium and didn't start very well last year and they kicked him to the curb.
Yeah, that feels a little different. It just felt like his performance was going down. I think a lot of people feel like Kirk is like just being a total moron right now. And
He's just way too stubborn.
yeah, yeah.
That's literally what it is.
But anyway, we'll get to our next game here. So Clemson, Syracuse, really close game. Clemson ends up winning 27-21. Syracuse had the lead 21-10 at one point, and man, looked like they were going to pull it off. They had a drive at the end of the game too to try to cement it away, or to try to go win the game. I was impressed with Syracuse, honestly. Their quarterback Garrett Schrader looks really good. They got a solid defense, and but Clemson pulls out another win. They have now the longest home winning streak in the country at 38 games now.
Wow.
Home win streak.
Yeah, I was gonna say while I was watching the game, I did notice Syracuse's quarterback. He was looking good. Syracuse kind of just choked that game, honestly. But nonetheless, my lock of the week hit Syracuse plus 14. And like I said in the last podcast, I said Syracuse, they're gonna cover, and they might even win. It'll be really close, and I was right.
Do we have a new quarterback down in Clemson, South Carolina?
Yeah.
DJ Ukulele bench. I don't even know the name of the. I don't even know the guy that came in, but
Klubnik,
definitely Cade Klubnik definitely gave their offense a spark.
I'm pretty sure he's like the number one recruit from last year, number one quarterback recruit after Quinn.
I wouldn't be
Quinn was 2
surprised.
years ago.
Yeah, I didn't watch much of this game. I looked and saw the third quarter that Clemson was down 21-10. I was like, wow, Syracuse is legit. And then I just stopped watching the game and went back to the Ohio State game. And then I think Connor told me that Clemson won, and I was like, you're kidding. That didn't happen. And I looked at the score, and sure enough, Clemson won. I was very surprised, but Syracuse kind of proven themselves that they can compete with the best, especially in their conferences. Clemson has been the top dog for many years now, and hopefully in the years to come that Syracuse can keep competing.
Yeah, Syracuse ended up scoreless in the second half. Meanwhile, Clemson scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win the game. So Clemson also had 4 turnovers. I don't know if you guys saw that scoop and score, 95 yards.
Score. That was awesome. Yeah. I was watching that while it happened, and that was a big play for my lock right there.
Yeah, it was.
I'm just excited to see some ACC teams, be good other than Clemson for once. Syracuse is looking really good. Wake Forest is looking really good. North Carolina's not ranked super high, but they're 6-1. So they're starting to get more competitive. And I know I'm missing a team in there, I feel like.
NC
State is good, thank you. So it's nice. It's been just Clemson for a while, and I like to see the competition.
Do you guys think that Clemson is maybe being underrated right now? Because they're sitting there at 5th, but they've blown out the teams they should blow out, and they're the only team in the country with 3 wins over currently ranked teams. That's Wake Forest, NC State, and now Syracuse. They beat them all. But they're just they're not going to, we know they're not going to move up. They're just staying at 5th. I don't know.
I think it's kind of like the ACC bias, the opposite of SEC type thing. And
yeah,
they think that Clemson aren't really playing that good of teams. That's what I'm thinking.
I would agree with that statement. I also think that, after Trevor Lawrence stayed all 4 years of his college career, I don't think they expected to be as good as they were with him, and they're proving people wrong. And I just don't think. I think they think the quarterback is going to slip up at some
Yeah.
point.
I was just gonna say, I think DJ Uiagalelei is kind of holding them.
He's
I
just
don't know,
really
the respect for them back.
consistent.
Yeah, he is really inconsistent.
Because he
He
can
is
play really, he
inconsistent.
can play really well, and then he can go out and throw a couple picks. And
It will be the college football playoff committee is definitely a little bit more resume orientated in their rankings. So I'll be very interested so long as Clemson wins this week. If they play, I don't even know if they play or if they're on a bye. But anyway, where Clemson will be ranked next Tuesday when the rankings come out. So
I think they have bye week.
yeah, it looks like they have a bye week. So that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. Next, LSU beats Ole Miss, upset here. Top 10 Ole Miss goes down. Undefeated season is no longer intact. 45-20. I was shocked by this result, and this is
score in
just
the
once
second
again,
half.
yeah, this is once
I
again
was going to say, yeah.
Vegas.
Shock-
Vegas
Go
had this
ahead,
game
Matt.
down because what was LSU? Like
They were
they were favored by
minus-
1.
They were -1
I
favorite.
think so.
So
It was one of those games where Ole Miss got up by a certain margin and it kind of turned it off. You're like, yep, they're just going to continue to roll.
Yeah, I
and
bet.
then you get a notification on your phone saying, "Oh, close game alert," and then LSU just ran away with it.
Yeah, I put a little 20 piece on the Ole Miss money line. Watching this game, they're up 17-3 early on. I was feeling good, and then they shit the bed. And I was like, "What the hell?"
yeah, LSU had 500 total yards of offense, so they really got
Does
things
the-
going. Obviously, it shows by the 45 points.
Does this win get you guys excited for Saturday when
How so?
Alabama comes to Baton Rouge?
Oh, that's next Saturday.
Oh, is it? I
Yeah.
saw some they released the game time, so I thought it was this Saturday.
Well, next Saturday is an absolutely gigantic weekend. Alabama and LSU, and on top of that, the game of the year, probably Georgia and Tennessee face off, and what'll be a top 3,
Ooh.
maybe even a 1-versus-2 matchup. So I cannot wait for next weekend.
Yeah, Tennessee
that
might
one's-
lose this week.
Yeah. So,
Or Georgia.
but anyway, not getting ahead of ourselves there. This in for 2 weeks, Devin. Yes, this makes me more excited for that game. I think
Oh
LSU
yeah, right.
and Brian Kelly are starting to look much better, starting to look the part. But moving on from that one, Oregon beating UCLA 45-30. I genuinely thought this would be a close game because UCLA's looked pretty good this year. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has looked good, but that Oregon offense is rolling right now. Bo Nix is playing out of his mind. He had a 96.3 QBR this game, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, ever since that first game against Georgia, Oregon is rolling.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say the same thing after that, that first game when they had that devastating loss. They've kind of turned their season around and they're rolling. And, I thought this game would be much closer to, I think Oregon was only favored by 6. And it was a hard pick last week for me. And then, I just went with Vegas like Connor always does and it paid off. But yeah, UCLA, they were looking really good. But like I said last week, the Pac-12, it's going to be hard for them to get a team in the college football playoffs because they're kind of just going to beat each other all out now.
Yep. Yeah, any of those one-loss teams, USC, Oregon, and UCLA. Now, any of those teams sort of at the top of the Pac-12. If they lose another game, 2 losses, I mean, they're out. So definitely, fighting for their playoff dreams at this point. No room for error.
Yeah, I'm still so surprised that Oregon lost by that much to Georgia. I wish we could see a rematch of that game at this point in the season because Oregon's improved a lot since then.
They have. I completely agree. I think that game would be closer now. That was also, Oregon's got a first-year head coach in Dan Lanning, so a little bit of adjustment
Kind of
time for
sucks
him.
that they had to play the defending national champions on the first game of the season.
That does.
Right, and I agree because I think while Oregon has continued to look better each week, Georgia has kind of shown some weaknesses in some weeks against some weaker teams. So I would love to see a rematch, whether that's in the playoffs or if it comes down to Tennessee, Georgia in the SEC championship, Alabama in there. one of those teams could get knocked out too, and it could be a different matchup than in a bowl game.
Yeah, gonna be an interesting scenario there for sure. Next, Oklahoma State beats the Longhorns 41-34. Texas blows another lead now. They were up by 14 in this game. At least I believe they were. I think it was 31-17 at one point, and they lose. That's the second time they've done that this season. They've done that a few other times under Coach Sark. Quinn Ewers, man, did not have a good game. He was overthrowing guys all over the place. He went 19 of 49 passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions from Quinn Ewers.
That was
And-
very uncharacteristic from him. I thought that was
Yeah.
just bizarre. I don't think it was like a wet game or anything. He was just missing guys.
He was,
Definitely not a good look for him. So hopefully he can get it put together and bounce back.
I saw a meme that made me laugh a lot. It was Quinn Ewers on the phone with the offensive coordinator, but it was saying, Quinn, or it's like, is this Ohio State? And then he's like, this is Quinn. So I thought that was really funny. But I'm not surprised. You know, me and Headley have been high on Okie State all year, so I'm going to keep rolling with them. You know, Texas has had up and down games, and this is just one of them against a good Okie State team.
Another thing too, a little conspiracy theory going on here. So do you guys remember Nebraska's last year in the Big 12 and how a couple of the games, particularly the night game against Texas A&M, the refs were screwing the Huskers because we were leaving the Big 12? I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, I
Um,
remember that like the back of my hand.
Yeah, the game against Texas A&M in particular that year is a top 10 matchup between Nebraska and A&M. And man, the refs screwed Nebraska. And it was obvious to see that the Big 12 was like, here's your send off, Nebraska, go to the Big 10, you know. And in this game, Texas is leaving the Big 12. As we know, in a couple years, they're kind of abandoning the Big 12, going to the SEC. Texas had 14 penalties for 120 yards. Oklahoma State, 0 penalties.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
wow.
And a lot of people are theorizing that the same thing is happening. Big 12 has given Texas a little bit of the old Nebraska treatment with the refs from when the Huskers left. And I wouldn't be surprised because, man, that's crazy. 14 penalties to 0? 0 penalties for the Cowboys.
That is pretty crazy.
It's a shame to see because, you know, every game that Texas has lost, they've really been in it and have just made critical mistakes or penalties or whatever it is. And really, it's the difference between being, what is this, week 8 coming up, 7-0, as to what they're 4-3, 3-4. So
They're 5 and Texas 5-3 now, 3-2 in conference play.
5-3. Yeah. So big mistakes. That's a lot
And
of penalties.
That's been Steve Sarkisian at Texas, though. I think they have, goodness, he has 11 or 12 losses now in his second year as Texas head coach. And I think 6 or 7 of them, they were leading like in the fourth quarter and they lost. So that's happened twice again. They had a 31-17 lead against Texas Tech earlier in the year and they lost. They had a 31-17 lead here against Oklahoma State and they ended up losing. So troubling. Also, I do think as we know, Oklahoma State's offense is really good. Spencer Sanders is really good and Oklahoma's defense is really bad. And Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State absolutely hate OU, especially more now that they're leaving the SEC. We know it's been a big spat. I think Mike Gundy is going to try to put up 100 points on Oklahoma. There's going to be no mercy. And I can't wait. I hope he does. I hope Oklahoma State is up by like 40 points with a minute to go in the fourth quarter and they go and score another touchdown. And I think he will absolutely do that.
Yeah.
So excited to see that game for sure. Next, Wisconsin, some Big Ten action here. Wisconsin beats Purdue 35-24. I know we were all getting kind of high on Purdue after some of their performances this year, and especially Aiden O'Connell, but surprising loss here. Aiden O'Connell did not play that good. 31 of 46, 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. So has a great game against Nebraska, goes and plays Wisconsin and is way off. And the Boilermakers lose after they had some momentum now.
Yeah.
Is that the Nebraska curse continuing?
Yeah, actually.
You beat
Well-
Nebraska and then you lose the week after.
That's a phenomenal point, Devin.
Yeah, like it just blows my mind that has not failed.
Not a surprising loss to Vegas, though. They predicted this one.
Yep.
Also, shout out Headley for the absolute lock here. Just kidding. Purdue was never in it.
Oh, that's rough.
He told me Saturday night that he was embarrassed about that pick. So
Yeah, that
I
one-
had to. That's why he missed the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. He was just too embarrassed.
Yeah,
That's
I was
funny.
I was really surprised. Like Max said, we were kind of all high on Purdue after they beat Nebraska, and Wisconsin. We've been dogging on them all year, and they come out and pull off a win when they're at the bottom of the conference. And they play a team that's leading the conference, and they take it. I put in my notes here is Wisconsin on the come up now? Should we be worried about them when we play them?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of question marks around that.
It's just never disrespect the badge, man.
The badge.
Don't
No, I th-
disrespect the
I think that
badge.
is a good point, Isaiah. I think they're starting to play better. And we know what kind of, line play they have at Wisconsin. It's always good. And they still have Braylon Allen. So I don't know. I think they're starting to come together more so. Moving on from that though. By the way, that was a big loss for Purdue because they were kind of in the driver's seat in the Big Ten West, them in Illinois. So really dropped the ball on that one. But anyway, moving on. Alabama beats Mississippi State 30-6. I don't really have much to say about this, but Alabama bouncing back, playing
You
good
could
after
tell
the loss.
you could tell they had a chip on their shoulder in that game. The first quarter, I think they had 21 points. It was nuts.
Well, halftime was 24-0.
Halftime was 24-0. Yeah, just never really took their foot off the gas pedal there.
I mean, they kind of did in the second half. They didn't really just keep adding on the score. So what was
But
the
you could
final
just
score?
It was 30 to
30 to
6.
6.
it was
Yeah.
30-6. But you could tell they just dominated that entire game. Mississippi State couldn't really get anything going.
Yeah, that's true.
Next up, Penn State beating Minnesota, whiteout game, the night game in Happy Valley, 45-17. Speaking of teams that are maybe starting to get better or falling off, I think we got two here in Penn State, bouncing back after Michigan. Maybe they can do some damage against Ohio State, and then more so a team kind of falling off, Minnesota, man. They have not looked good the last few weeks, so.
No, Minnesota's kind of fallen off the tracks that they were on to begin the season. I think they're 3-4 now. But
Four
they're just-
and 3,
they're 4-3.
but 1 and
So-
3 in the Big Ten. So
Yeah, they've not played very good in the Big Ten. Penn State, they bounced back after a big loss over Michigan. And that kind of throws up some question marks against Ohio State, who we all, talked about a couple weeks ago. We think they're probably the most dominant team in college football right now. I know that game is like 15-point spread, but good for Penn State to bounce back, and Minnesota's just kind of on a struggle bus. So Tannemuga's got to pick it up.
Yeah,
Well,
good luck,
it's
Isaiah. Good luck.
Yes,
it's unfortunate. Wait, what lock did you have, Isaiah?
I had Penn State.
Nice,
Coverage.
nice.
Minus
Very
4.
nice.
whatever it was. Minus
I'm a
5.
little disappointed next week's game wasn't their whiteout. Like, yeah, Minnesota was good, but it's usually a pretty big game, I thought,
Wait, with
with Penn State doing the whiteout.
are you talking about it for Ohio State?
Yeah, and the game is at like 11 o'clock, which sucks.
Yeah. I think Penn State always does the whiteout for a night game, and I think they figured that Fox was going to pick up that Ohio State game for big noon kickoff or whatever. So
Yeah, that's fair. It would have been cool to see.
that's true. Moving on from that though, TCU beats Kansas State 38-28. This was a really entertaining game. It sucked that Adrian Martinez got injured in the first quarter. I didn't see it. But otherwise, I mean, Kansas State, what were they? They were up 28-10 at one point, right? In this game.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and then TCU scores 28 straight to win it 38-28. So
TCU with 2 back-to-back weeks of big comebacks.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, they had big comeback, and I don't know if TCU is as good as they seem because they were playing against the third string there to come back. I mean, they have a good offense, but their defense kind of kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I don't
I mean,
think TCU would be as good as they are without Max Duggan.
No,
Oh,
Max
yeah,
Duggan's really good.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the way
Just like I said, their defense was not looking good in the first half, and then they went to their second string, and he was looking good, and then they had to go to their third string, and that's kind of when it's went downhill for Kansas State.
yeah, man, that does suck for Kansas State. Otherwise, they probably, I don't know, could have controlled that game from then on out. So,
Yep.
but anyway, some other points too. We don't really need to talk about the results, but Texas A&M loses once again. Jimbo Fisher really struggling to get things going in A&M. They're 0-4 in their last 4 games against unranked FBS opponents, 2-6 overall in such games, the last 8 such games. So I don't know. That's tough.
It's bad. It's really bad. That program is struggling considering how well they did in recruiting. And I actually just saw on Twitter today that quite a bit of their freshmen, their true freshmen that they just got, are being suspended indefinitely. From what I've heard is smoking marijuana in the locker room or whatever they were doing, but just dumb mistakes. Something needs to change within that program.
I saw something like that too, Devin. I also saw reports of some guys wanting to transfer out of there too.
Yep.
It
Yeah,
just seems like
that's
they're
true.
kind of in shambles right now, and they're paying
Trying to
Jimbo
get
Fisher, $90
a
million
lot of money.
contract. So
Yeah, trying to get a bunch of guys together to all transfer out, which, is never a good sign.
tough look there. Miami loses again. They lose to Duke. Great underdog from Headley here. And it was locked didn't hit, but his underdog hit big time. Miami, another team that's in trouble, man. Big hype coming in this year. Big contract from Mario Cristobal. Not looking good. And then Kansas loses again. Maybe it's a repeat of 2009, start 5-0, and then finish 5-7.
Yeah,
We'll
shout
see.
out to Brad and Headley for saying that Kansas would go 5-7 after the season. I'm kind of gonna hop on that train.
Yeah, they just might.
I'm still gonna ride it. I think they're gonna get one more win, but man, it's looking tough.
Yeah.
If they would have had Jalen Daniels, it'd be a different story. But that's just the shitty way it worked out is that he got hurt right and when they're going into the toughest stretch of their season.
So real quick, since we didn't have a Husker game to react to, sort of in this reaction segment, reacting to all the other wins around the country this week and what's happened this season, we'll revisit the discussion. Who are you guys thinking for Nebraska head coach? What are the top candidates out there?
I think Dave Aranda is still a really good candidate.
Mhm.
He's been on my list the entire time.
I think Brian Ferentz is really just making his case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of the candidates we've talked about have kind of fallen off the wagon.
Yeah.
Lance Leipold, Dave Aranda, Matt Campbell, they're all just starting to lose games, which isn't helping anybody's case. So it's tough. Yeah, Lane Kiffin has popped up as a potential
I would
coach,
still want Lane Kiffin. That'd be.
which I think is huge. It makes the most sense for him. I don't know if I'm 100% one to buy into the hometown guy coming back based off the way it worked last time. But Lane Kiffin's got a resume, very solid resume. So I think he's probably who I would put at the top of my list. And we all know Trev Alberts is willing to pay big bucks for somebody.
Yeah. I think that's right. I think they'll pay a lot of money to try to get a proven winner. I know Mickey Joseph's name is coming up a lot, still a lot to see just because his head coaching resume is being built this year a little bit unfairly with the situation he inherited, but obviously we'll see how these next few games goes. He's getting into his toughest stretch yet. Another name that isn't being mentioned as much, and I think it's not super likely, but still very possible, is Luke Fickell out of Cincinnati. I think that's a definite possibility. He's got a good resume at Cincinnati, defensive guy.
I love that, but that gives me too much of the Scott Frost feeling. He was, they're not a Power 5 school just yet. Granted, they had a really good season last year. They made the playoff. Then they got kind of embarrassed by Alabama. It just gives me too much of the same feeling when Frost went 13-0 at UCF and came here and just couldn't right the ship. And On the Mickey point, though, I think it's safe to say that he's most likely staying on staff regardless if he's hired as head coach or
I agree.
not. So, which is incredible. I love Mickey. I would love to see him as a head coach. I just think Trav's got his mind in different places.
Yeah, I definitely having Power 5 head coaching experience was definitely like pretty much at the top of my list in terms of something you need to have on your resume. I think Luke Fickell, obviously besides Mickey Joseph, depending how things turn out, but Luke Fickell's the only exception to that, just because he has Cincinnati at such a high level and he's coached there for, oh man, he's been the coach there for 5 or 6 years. And they've been great seasons and he's beaten big time programs. They competed with Arkansas this year. They beat Notre Dame last year at Notre Dame. They played pretty good against Alabama in the playoffs last year. Honestly, they only lost by.
Yeah, they didn't get blown out.
No, it was like 28 to, I don't even know, 13 or something.
Yeah.
So he's got a good resume. He worked at Ohio State for a long time too as defensive coordinator. So I don't know.
The score of the Alabama-Cincinnati game was 27-6.
27-6. I mean,
yeah. So
better than a lot of teams do.
For being Alabama, yes, they played them pretty well. I mean, Scott Frost played better teams better at UCF, if that came out right. They went in and beat Auburn when nobody expected them to beat Auburn in that bowl game.
But that was the only one of those games. Fickell's got a couple of those. He's got a few of those big time games.
Exactly. Yeah. So I do think he's still a better scenario, but it reminds me just a little too much of that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I agree with that, Devin. Kind of scares me there, but like just Max said,
anything's better than the situation we're in.
Yeah, he's better. He's been at Cincinnati longer than Scott Frost was at UCF too. So
yeah, there's more data to go on there than just Scott Frost having one undefeated season. So
right.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from all the reactions and Big Ten and all that stuff. We'll move things along here into our tank of the week this week, if you guys want to. So, does someone else want to start it off this week?
Yeah. So, my tank of the week is the Iowa offense. They had 6 turnovers.
Tank of the year, dude.
Yeah, they had 6 turnovers in this game, and between the two quarterbacks, they had like an 8.5 QBR. Really bad. Hawkeyes are not looking good. Tank of the week, I think, goes to the Iowa offense. Even though they played a good Ohio State team, they didn't score a touchdown. So
they haven't scored a touchdown in 28 possessions.
That's crazy.
I think I did see that today, and I think that's absolutely crazy. Anyway, my take of the week is going to be a little different because they weren't necessarily favored, but I think Ole Miss losing to LSU was unacceptable.
For sure, tank.
It's tank.
Right. But LSU was
favored.
So Vegas knew something.
They tanked in the fact that they were up 17-3 and then score again. Or they scored 3 more points.
So I think Ole Miss has to have a really strong week next week I think their playoff chances are done. I don't think they got a shot. Unless they somehow make it to the SEC championship and win out. But yeah, I think that loss to LSU was huge.
Yeah. I'm on the kind of similar route as you, Devin. They weren't favored to win the game, but K-State up pretty big, choked it away. I know their quarterbacks got hurt, but still tank.
I got this one's kind of a two-parter, same game, same team, but it's double tankage is what it is. BYU losing to Liberty 41-14. So that's bad enough. Liberty does move to 7-1 on the year, so they're a good group of 5 team, but they beat BYU 41-14. And then the other part of the tank is that BYU was up 14-3 in the first quarter. So not only did they get absolutely destroyed, but they blew a 14-3 early lead. So tough look for the
Liberty's a solid football team. They
very
had
good. Very good.
Malik Willis last year come out of nowhere, just an absolute stud. I'm really hoping he he kind of takes over in Tennessee, because I think Tannehill he's on his last legs. He's not looking very good. Hey. But yeah, great football team. They definitely tanked BYU.
Really bad. 41-14 against a group of 5 school. I know Liberty's really good. 7-1 now, but still. Now let's move on to what's up.
I'd throw BYU in one of that fraudulent category of football teams, along with Miami and Notre Dame.
Certainly preseason fraudulent. I don't think they're no longer fraudulent because people know they're bad now. But preseason fraudulent, and for the first like 4 or 5 weeks of the season, definitely hopping on board that. Let's get into our preview though. Some good games this week. Week 9 preview. Let's start things off. A little fun here. Iowa Northwestern over under. It opened most sports books at around 34. Circa Sports had it at 31.5. It has since unfortunately moved to 37.5 at most books, which I think is astronomically high for these two teams. I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I think the under is kind of a lock here.
Yeah.
Iowa's defense is just too good. So really the only points are going to have to come from Iowa. So unless the defense gets a lot of points,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see something where it's like a 20-3, 17-0 contest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
going
be
what I was gonna say,
surprised.
Devin. If Iowa's defense can put some points on the board, I think the over has a chance to hit. But if not, if Iowa's defense can't score some points, then no, the under's a lock. Or yes, the under's a lock.
Yeah, I would be concerned. It's the same thing, and you mentioned the defense. Same thing with the Rutgers game, right? That under is hitting automatically. If Iowa's defense doesn't score some points in that game, doesn't score 2 touchdowns like they did. So that's what I'd be worried about in this game for Northwestern Iowa. I think if Iowa's defense puts any points on the board at all, they get like a pick 6 or a fumble recovery or something, that over all of a sudden looks super good. So tough there. But moving on from that, let's get into our first preview game here. Number 2, Ohio State. They're favored by 15, maybe 15.5 most places now. Traveling to Penn State, 13th ranked Penn State. In what should be a really good game. This is the big noon kickoff game for Fox. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to this game. I'm excited to see if Penn State can bounce back, even though I think Ohio State obviously is a really good team. But I don't know. Penn State, you never know at home.
Like I said earlier, after Penn State's win last week, and it kind of throws up some question marks on this game because it is a 15-point spread. But I do think that Ohio State is by far the most dominant team in college football right now. Not even in the Big Ten, but in just all of college football. They're looking very good.
Yeah, Ohio State is looking really good. Another comment on the game last week, the announcers were commenting on how Ohio State's defense really proved that they were legit this week, which kind of made me laugh since they were playing the worst offense in the country. The announcers kept going, yeah, Ohio State's defense is looking real good. They're kind of proving themselves here. I'm like, dude, they've done this, or Iowa's offense does this against every team. So it's not really, doesn't really prove much, but
That's
Ohio
actually
State,
funny.
they look really good.
And I'm going to completely agree with you guys. I think, and I've said this all season long, Ohio State is bound to lose one game to somebody, but wow, have they just looked impressive all season long. I feel like Penn State could do it if they bounce back from last week, but that offense for Ohio State is the real deal. It's a tough game to pick on.
Yeah, it is gonna be interesting to see how Sean Clifford plays too, because I think he's good. He's not elite, by any means. I don't know. I still don't know how
He needs to have a day.
He does.
Didn't he
get if he wants to have a chance?
Didn't he get hurt though pretty recently?
He was questionable for the Minnesota game, but he played.
Okay, okay. Then yeah,
So-
he'll for sure be playing. I imagine.
Which will be big for Penn State. I mean, he's a super experienced guy, veteran. So need that against a good team. Definitely helps. Next, Kansas State and Oklahoma State. The Cowboys, ninth rate team in the country, traveling to play in Manhattan. This game, I have it -1 for Oklahoma State. It moved to a pick 'em yesterday, and it's now
Oh,
Kansas.
it's now Kansas State, right?
Yeah, I was getting to that point, Con.
Okay, I was gonna say. Okay, sorry to
No,
steal
you're
your
good.
thunder.
You're good. That's just what I had it on the notes because it opened Oklahoma State favored, but it shifted then to a pick 'em yesterday and is now Kansas State -1.5. So it is now flipped. Vegas is flipped. Who they think wins? That rarely happens. But has happened in this case, which I find super, super interesting. Kind of makes me feel like I have even less of an idea what's going to happen in this game. This is going to be a good test for Oklahoma State's offense, though. Kansas State ranks 14th in the country at allowing just under 17 points per game. Spencer Sanders should be fully healthy too. So I don't know. Might not be the
Do we
classic
know
Oklahoma
what-
State shootout.
Do we know what the status is for Adrian Martinez?
I don't actually. Let me see.
I
don't
think that's
think
going to be
I don't think his injury was like all that bad last week.
okay. I think that's going to be the deciding factor because he's a good passer. He is an excellent dual threat quarterback. And he showed that against Oklahoma, and that's part of the reason why they dominated that game. If he's healthy, he plays, they have a great shot at beating Oklahoma State. If he doesn't play, I think we're going to see a rough contest for them.
I think the fact that Kansas State is now favored in this game is ridiculous. Even if Martinez plays, I think Oklahoma State is just too dominant compared against this Kansas State team. Although they are playing in Manhattan, you have that home field advantage. I think Oklahoma State is just they got a chip on their shoulder and they know they got to win out the rest of the season, and then they're going to come to compete no matter way and shape or form they can get it done. They're going to get it done.
I don't know if
We
you guys
wanna-
watched the game, but their second string Howard. I don't know his first name, but Howard, he was looking good. He was looking scary good for K-State. So
Yeah, he was.
they
I
might not
agree.
need Adrian. He was
We
throwing
might have
darts.
to hit up some of the guys down there and try and make it to a game or a tailgate at least when they play Kansas or something.
I just found this. It just says that Chris Kleiman, K-State head coach, is hopeful that Adrian Martinez will be healthy enough this weekend, but still too early to tell. So it looks like it's day to day still. So don't
What
know.
about Howard?
Well, I'm hoping that he'll be ready to go. I think he deserves another one. He's always been a great kid, and yeah, I give him a hard time, but it's working for him at K-State.
Looks like Howard will be good to go for this game if Adrian isn't. So
Let's go. He's my favorite player.
that would be big for K-State though, because he did look good. And
It's
the
not
Oklahoma-
Petrus.
He was
I'm
dropping
shocked.
for times.
Yeah. Well, and the Oklahoma State defense is still not good. They're allowing 450 yards per game, which is 15th worst in the country. They need that offense to score. So I don't know. I think if they give up big points to K-State and K-State's defense, which has been playing good all year, comes up big. I think the Cowboys could be in trouble.
Yeah. Both these teams don't really have that good of defenses. I'm pretty sure the over-under is like 69 I think is what I saw today. Which
It is, yeah.
That's pretty high.
That's kind of the story of the Big 12, though. I feel like is they've never really had top tier defenses. I know you said K-State's 17th in the country.
K-State, not in total defense, which factors in a lot more yards and everything, but just in average points per
Scoring.
game, they're allowing just under 17 points per game, 16.7. That's 14th best in the country.
Right, which I'm curious to see where that stacks up in the Big 12 standing. If that's the best defense, or if there's another team out there that's allowing less.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up here real fast.
You want to move on to Michigan State and Michigan here?
Well, we got Kentucky, Tennessee.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to skip that one.
No problem. Top 20 matchup, Kentucky and Tennessee. This is another good test for Tennessee. Since that Alabama game, they played an FCS school last week, but the Vols are favored by 12.5. And obviously big win against Alabama a couple weeks ago. They have a gigantic game coming up against Georgia next week. Hopefully they can focus in on this game, a good Kentucky opponent. And I don't know, 12.5 though, does that seem maybe low? We know Hendon Hooker and that Vols offense can score quick and however they want to.
I think it's a big spread here. I was kind of surprised that it's 12.5 because Kentucky, they're still a pretty good team. They know how to score the football. Granted, Tennessee, they do have a really good offense that knows how to score. I was very surprised to see 12.5.
Sorry to backtrack real fast. Iowa State is only allowing 15.1 points per game. But other than that, everybody else in the Big 12 is allowing 21 plus. So K-State's got a good shot.
Yeah.
As far as the Tennessee Kentucky game, you guys are saying Ohio State's the most dominant team in college football. I think Tennessee's offense alone is absolutely insane. Hendon Hooker is playing out of his mind. Hyatt is a great freaking quarterback or wide receiver, excuse me. I think they continue to roll.
Yeah, Tennessee still does have the #1 scoring offense in the country. That hasn't changed. They're averaging right now 50.1 points per game, highest in the country, the only team in the 50s. So Hendon Hooker
That is crazy.
and Hyatt at receiver, man, that offense is absolutely rolling right now. And I would say the defense is a concern because it is. It's not that great, but man, when you're scoring that many points,
Right.
whatever, right?
And,
I mean,
I didn't watch the game last week when they played. Let me just see if I can find it here. UT Martin, and I looked at one point, it was 7-7, and I went, okay, maybe this will be the one game where Tennessee kind of struggles. And then I looked later, and they were up by like 40 points. And so they scored fast, putting up 31 points in the second quarter. And then I'm sure the reserves were in the second half, only putting up 6 and 7 respectively. Their offense is just phenomenal.
yeah, I completely agree. Really fun offense to watch. That game's at Tennessee too, so it'll be another great atmosphere in Neyland Stadium. Next up, Michigan State, Michigan. Classic rivalry here.
All black jerseys, Tennessee is. So that'll be exciting to see.
Smoky Mountain jerseys. I think that's what they're calling or something like that. But next, Michigan State, Michigan, huge rivalry game. This is the night game on ABC. Wolverines favored by 22.5. Seems about right. I think Michigan State's pretty bad. I don't know why I have this in the previews, but it's a big rivalry game. I don't know. Can the Spartans? Can the Spartans?
I
make
want
a
to see
comeback on
another. I want to see another fumbled punt for the victory. Something crazy, even though it's probably not going to happen this year. But I always love to see something like that in a rivalry game.
I would love to see that as well too. But I truly think this is a much bigger game for Mel Tucker than it is for anybody else that's on the field. Rivalry games are important to the universities, and when you go in and just get absolutely blown out, I think they're going to start to ask those questions like, is this the right direction? So I'm worried for Michigan State this weekend.
Yeah, it is a rivalry game. Like Devin said, the university values these games. But Michigan's too dominant right now. I put them pretty, they're top 4 teams still. They're just too dominant. 22.5, I think, is respectable. I don't know if they'll cover. I think they'll get pretty close. But rivalry games, anything can happen. So I'm excited to see this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think too the loss last year that Michigan had to Michigan State, there's some, not that it's ever, it's a rivalry game. There's always going to be animosity, but that might build into it a little bit more for Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines. So, but with that, let's get into our Husker preview for this week. Big time game in Lincoln. Number 17, Illinois travels to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers. And we have said this for the last 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. I know the last 3 weeks for sure. If Nebraska wins this game, they're first place in the Big Ten West. The Big Ten West just keeps cannibalizing itself, and the Huskers keep staying in the race. So that's fun to think about.
Have you guys seen the scenario where there's a 7-way tie with Northwestern going to the Big Ten championship and only finishing like 4-8?
Yep, I saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
That would just be absolutely insane if that happens. I really hope it doesn't happen, but the fact that it's a possibility is insane. I'm beyond pumped for this game. It's a little personal for me, after driving 8 hours to Champaign last year just for Nebraska to choke it away. So I'm going. I'm excited. The place is gonna be rocking. Having a ranked opponent come to town, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's right there with you, Devin. Went to that game and got disappointed in a loss. But I think Illinois is a better team than they were last year. They have one of the top 5 running backs in the nation right now. I'm really worried. I feel like they might be able to just run all over us like Wisconsin normally does. So I'm worried about this game. I'm still excited. Memorial's going to be rocking. It's Halloween weekend. So that's always a good time down in Lincoln. And, the fans are going to be excited no matter what.
Yeah. Getting on to the fact that this is a ranked Illinois team, Nebraska has lost 19 straight games against ranked opponents. The last time we beat a ranked team was 2016 Oregon. They were 22nd in the country, but that was early in the year. They ended up finishing 4-8 that year. But it still counts in the record books. The year before that, beat a top 10 undefeated Michigan State team. So that's pretty legit, even though we sucked that year. But anyway, chance to end a big streak here. Been a long time since we beat a ranked team and a really quality opponent. And like you said, Devin, the revenge factor from last year, man, that really sucked. So if we can give Illinois a taste of their own medicine and in Lincoln, I would love for that.
Right.
I agree with. Go ahead.
The last time I think I was at Memorial Stadium for a ranked game was the year that they played Ohio State, and they had Braxton Miller as quarterback, and Nebraska was just down big at halftime. A lot of people were leaving the game, and I still think today it's their biggest comeback that they've had, and that was just phenomenal to watch. And for some reason, I have that same feeling going into this weekend that I think it could be a lot closer than people think, but it's really going to come down to the defense for Nebraska. They've got to be able to stop Chase Brown. It can't be a situation where like Wisconsin's running backs just set records every time they play us. They got to step up, and Nick Henrich, unfortunately, done for the season. So somebody's gonna have to step up in his place and make a few stops.
So,
That's real quick. That's okay. Actually, no, you go ahead, Isaiah, and then I got something.
Okay. So as you guys saw, we have a special guest with us here, big time Husker fan. We have Andrew Lindemeyer with us. Since we have, only 4 of the Power 6 guys, and we're going to have Andrew say some of his thoughts for this week 10.
Lindy.
Well, Husker preview. Let's go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Love to have you on, baby.
Thanks for
You guys hear
joining
me
us,
all right?
buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're good,
definitely.
you're good.
For sure. All right, sick. Sorry, I just got AirPods. Like, I gotta make sure that they're working okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna be a tough game. I looked at, I think I saw some stats today, and Illinois' defense just kind of looks insane. Obviously, their running back's super good, which scares me because our run defense is never very good. I mean, last year we were okay, but I mean, it seems like in Big Ten play, we just get throttled on the run game. I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm hopeful, but we'll see what happens. I'm hoping off the bye that Mickey's got the boys buzzing. So we'll see what happens.
We are 1-0 after bye weeks this year. So
I was actually just going to
Exactly.
say that.
yeah.
Frost never won. Mickey never lost.
Fact. Wait, real quick. Did you guys see what happened like earlier today with Mickey?
With
did not.
like the Malachi Coleman thing, or
Yeah, the Malachi
Yeah.
Coleman thing. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I can't see that being a big deal, but
Can you
he
explain to some of us and the
Yeah, I
viewers
did,
what
I did
happened?
not see.
Yeah, I didn't either.
so apparently it's like a rules violation of some sort, but technically, since Malachi hasn't like signed a letter of intent, Mickey Joseph isn't allowed to like make a statement about him, I guess, something like that. Cause like a reporter had asked him about Malachi, and then he like cut the reporter off and then basically was like, nah, I'm joking. But yeah, we got Malachi, and I guess that's somehow against NCAA guidelines. I don't know how, but
They asked him how big of like what kind of deal that was and the influence that he had on Malachi committing. And Mickey ended up saying that Malachi told us that he wasn't gonna come to Nebraska 6 months ago,
yeah,
is what he said, which apparently is a violation of the rule because until National Signing Day, until they sign, a coach cannot mention recruits or commits by name.
yeah, exactly.
So that he will either get a fine or a suspension, probably from the NCAA.
Fine. Give me a fine.
Yeah. You
If
know,
it's
that's-
suspension, I bet it'll be like a 1 or 2 day suspension that he can just serve during a practice week. I mean, it's not like it's a
yeah,
huge deal.
Right. I'm not surprised that there's some kind of rule in there that, you know, the NCAA is super strict as far as anything goes. So while it's unfortunate, the wide receiver core for Nebraska in the next few years is going to be incredible. You know, we're not even getting to see DeColdis Crawford yet this year. He's another 4-star recruit. You know, Malachi, you know, honestly, we should try and get to a game here in the playoffs when we get to see him play. I think that would be really exciting. But big name. I was happy to see him choose Nebraska. He had a lot of other offers from bigger places, you know, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan. So just incredible.
Yeah, that was big time. And I think it has a lot to do with obviously Mickey's resume. He's got Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase in the NFL, and Trey Palmer, you know, was leading the country the other week after in reception yards after the Purdue game. So speaks for
Right. So
itself.
let's keep our fingers crossed that, you know, whatever Trev decides to do, Mickey stays on staff, because, you know, there's always that possibility that if he goes, you know, you could lose recruits on that aspect.
My thing is I don't think that Malachi or even Mickey would have made that statement publicly if Mickey wasn't going to stay. I feel like there's got to be something going on behind the scenes that we don't know, that Mickey is at least going to stay on staff.
I think
I've said I've said that since day one. I think him and Mark Whipple, they would not
For
have brought
sure.
them in.
I don't know about
without
Mark
the
Whipple. I
intent.
disagree with that.
You don't think they're going to keep Mark Whipple on as OC?
I don't
don't
think there's
know.
any like huge desire to. I mean, he's good, but he's also old. He might just retire himself.
I mean, he's great at developing quarterbacks, and
He is.
I think, and same with Mickey with wide receivers. So for them to go out and spend the money when they knew kind of in the back of their head, like, okay, Frost is probably going to be fired this year. I think that's huge. More so Mickey, not so much Mark, but I do think they're both going to be on staff next year.
I completely do. Unless Mickey Joseph becomes a head coach, I do not think Mark Whipple will be on staff next year. I think whoever Trev hires would bring in a new OC. Just my opinion, because I think Trev probably has a huge desire. Whoever he hires, he's going to tell them, you got to keep Mickey. And that's already a big step for an AD to say that much to a head coach. Normally head coaches like to do their thing and get their staff. So if he were to say that with 2 guys, I just don't think that would fly well with a head coach. But Mickey, I don't know why any head coach wouldn't want Mickey. I think he's the best wide receiver coach and the best recruiter in the country. So
Here's a crazy theory. Say they do get Lane Kiffin. Do they fire Whipple and then just not bring anybody in?
you mean
He was the OC. He was the OC at was he the OC at Alabama at one point?
Oh yeah, he was, but he wasn't
Yeah.
the OC. He's not the OC at Ole Miss. They had Jeff Levy last year, who's at Oklahoma now. I don't know
Right.
who
No,
they have this year.
he's the head coach, but he's got a more offensive mind.
Yeah,
So do we see him call plays?
I don't even know.
Yeah. So it's crazy. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Not to bring the NFL into it, but like the Arizona Cardinals, they don't have an offensive coordinator employed because the head coach calls the plays.
Well, yeah, that's how Scott
Um,
Frost was until this year. He was OC.
Right.
There's still guys teams that have OCs, but their head coach still calls the plays. Kind of like the Chiefs, like they have an OC, but Andy Reid calls most of the plays.
Oh, okay.
That was
That
the
makes sense.
situation. That was actually the situation with Frost too. We had Troy Walters as OC his first 2 years. Matt Lubick the last 2 years was OC, but Scott Frost is still calling all the plays. So
That makes
anyway,
sense. Well, regardless, yeah, I think, even if Mickey stays on like as a quarterback coach or something,
Yeah.
not Mickey, Mark.
very well could. Very well could. Anyway, back to the game though, Nebraska, Illinois. So you guys talked on it too with the Illinois defense, but yeah, they're top 5 in the country in pretty much every metric imaginable, including scoring defense, points allowed there. Number 1 in the country, they're allowing 8.86 points per game. That's a ridiculous number. Like that is insane. It helps when you have Iowa, they've already played, but still, that's
Well, yeah,
mighty impressive.
They only gave up 6 points to Iowa too. So
Yeah. They're also 3rd in the country in time of possession. Not surprising because they just absolutely ground and pound the ball with Chase Brown. That clock's going to keep running. They possess the ball. So I don't know. Definitely worrisome because those are a couple of things that we have not played well against in a long time, which is a really good defense and an offense that can possess and run the ball super well. So we need to wait for Devin to come back. I had my
No, you guys are good. I just had to turn my camera off.
Anyway,
Alright.
so with our we talked about it earlier, Devin, you did with Nebraska's win over a ranked Ohio State team, and it was 2011, which is one of the few ranked wins we've had over the last decade plus, kind of. So trivia question of the week, and it relates to what we talked about in this episode so far. Who was the Ohio State head coach for that game against Nebraska in 2011? Largest comeback in Nebraska school history.
Urban Meyer.
No.
I have no idea.
Mark Tressel.
Nope.
Dude,
You're thinking of Jim Tressel.
Oh yeah, my bad. I don't know why I said Mark, but yeah.
So
Is it
No idea.
did Cincinnati's head coach right now, did he coach at Ohio State?
yep.
Was it him?
Yep.
I can't think of his name right now.
Luke
but-
Fickle.
Yeah,
Oh,
Luke
yeah,
Fickle. There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, because Jim Tressel, his last season was 2010, and Urban Meyer's first season was 2012. So Luke Fickle coached Ohio State for
so
one
I was
season.
I was a year off.
Huh.
One season. Sneaky little trivia question there. So anyway, he does have some Power 5 head coaching experience. One season at Ohio State. They went 6-6 that year, but he took over in May because Jim Tressel got fired because he broke a bunch of rules. So he literally had 2 months to prepare for an entire
Cheaters!
season. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I guess we can move on to our if that's all you guys got for Husker game. So if we can move on to our locks and our underdogs and our picks. Do we want to start things?
GOTW, game of the week.
Oh yeah, game of the week. Hey,
Yeah.
thank you, Connor. Thank you for that reminder.
You're welcome,
It's
Max.
a lot to keep up with, guys. For my game of the week, I'm gonna go Oklahoma State, K-State. I really hope Adrian is playing because that'll really cement it as my game of the week. If he's not, I don't know, maybe not. But it's a little bias coming for Adrian. But I think that's gonna be a really fun game.
Yep. Second there, that's also my game of the week. I'm hoping Howard plays as quarterback. He's my favorite player. So
Yeah, I got Ohio State versus Penn State as my game of the week. Top 15 matchup there in the Big Ten. So maybe a pretty good game.
Yeah. For mine, I'm probably also gonna go K-State, Oklahoma State. You guys know in the Discord server, huge K-State guy. If I have to pick another one, sneaky good game, Coastal Carolina Marshall. Let me tell you, 6-1 Coastal Carolina, and they're not even favored.
That's
It'd
crazy.
be a good one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
interesting.
All right.
You know what's
Ooh.
funny about that Coastal Carolina game? Coastal Carolina Marshall. It's on the NFL Network.
Yeah, I saw that.
wait, really?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be allowed.
6
That
p.m.
sounds racist to me.
All right, Devin, what do you got?
All right. My game of the week is going to be Tennessee at Kentucky, or Kentucky at Tennessee, excuse me. I think that one's going to be electrifying. Tennessee is continuing to roll. Their fan base is absolutely loving it. I think Kentucky fans are excited for this game. Going to be a good one down in Knoxville.
I like that one, Devin. I like that. Now we can get into our locks, underdogs, picks, all the fun stuff. Let's get it rolling here. And I say before we start any of that, Isaiah, do you want to give us an update on the records we got going for the group members?
Yeah, I could do that. So
Alright.
I'm just gonna go from the top here. Max last week, he went 8-3. Last week, I went 9-2. I think that's back-to-back weeks where I had the best record. Actually, no.
All right, just go on, Isaiah. Okay.
Yeah, actually, yes, that was back-to-back weeks. But yeah, 9-2. Headley going 7-4. Redmond, our guest picker, went 8-3.
Good job.
Connor also went 8-3. Bradley 7-4. Devin bringing up the rear, going 5-6.
We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. For our locks and underdogs, Max went 1-1. His lock hit, his underdog lost. Isaiah, I went 1 and a cover. Lock hit. UNLV covers by 1 point.
Pussy underdog by you, by the way.
Yeah.
That was bad.
That's a joke.
It was a joke. Headley, it's Purdue. Bad lock pick there. But he does hit his underdog with Duke. And then Redmond, Texas A&M, and Memphis, both bad picks there. His underdog and lock do not hit. Connor, 13.5 with Syracuse hits, but Memphis +7 does not hit as his underdog. Bradley going 2-0 with his lock and underdog here. TCU and Bowling Green. Then Devin hits with TCU on his lock, and his underdog does not win, but it does cover with Syracuse. And then
That was a good week for me there.
to update season totals here, Max is leading the pack, 65% on his picks, 69 and 37. Myself, I'm at 59%, 63 and 43. Headley and I are tied. Headley, I told you I was coming for you, man, and I meant it. Connor is now 59 and 47 at 56%. Bradley is 60 and 46 at 57%. Pretty tight there. And then Devin, 52 and 54 at 49% on the picks. Locks, Max is now 6-2, 75%
Absolutely
on the year.
Ridiculous.
That's
Vegas
very-
is scared right now. They're listening to
Pro
this
gambler.
podcast.
Hey,
He's
Max,
about to quit his job as a podcaster, turn to a pro gambler.
and then I'm not far behind Max there, 5-3. If you guys want to have a good lock of the week, listen to Max or I. And then Connor and Headley are both 4-4 at 50%, and then Devin and Bradley are 3-5 at 38% on their locks. And then for our underdogs, we have win, loss, cover. Max 2-5-1, 25%. I'm 1-4-3 at 13%. Headley is 2-4-2, 25%. Connor is 2-3-3, 25%. Bradley, he knows how to pick an underdog. He is 4-3-1 at 50%. And then Devin is 1-4-3 at 13% with me. So that's our update on our records for the picks,
All right.
the locks, and the underdogs. So good job, boys.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. I like it. Let's get into our locks this week. I'll start us off as usual in the order. I'm going to go with one that if I think too hard about it, Vegas is playing some games, but I'm not going to think too hard about it. Wake Forest -4 against Louisville. I'm just not going to try to over.
I
I'm
saw
not gonna
that
s-
one as well.
Wake
thought
Forest
about
this
it.
year is 6-1 against the spread. You know why? They're continually disrespected by Vegas. I picked Wake last week against the spread, cover. I'm going to pick them this week -4 against Louisville. I think this could end up being a close game, maybe 10 points, but hey, that still covers. Give me Wake Forest to cover 4 points.
I like it, Max.
You're
I
gonna
like
do
it.
that against my Cardinals, man? That is just the disrespect here. But my lock of the week is Syracuse, favored by 2 points over Notre Dame. I've been saying it for weeks now. Notre Dame is a fraudulent team. Syracuse is they're proving themselves how they did against Clemson, although they lost. But let's go Syracuse.
Andrew, you got a lock of the week?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. So my lock, I was between two. So Max, thanks for making it easy. I loved that Wake Forest one, but I'm gonna go TCU West Virginia. I think Dugan is insane, and I think West Virginia is dog water. So I'm taking TCU on that one.
It's what? It's 12.5, right?
No, that's TCU minus like 7.
Yeah, it's 7.5
Oh, yep, yep,
is what I
yep.
have.
I'm thinking of the wrong game. I did know that. Good bet, Andrew. Isaiah, I'm riding the same wave as you. The big kahuna. I got Syracuse -2. Picked them last week to cover against Clemson. They did. I'm riding the wave until it crashes, baby. Let's go Syracuse -2.
Great, solid picks by everybody. I'm actually going to go North Carolina -3 over Pittsburgh. They're 6-1 right now, undefeated in the ACC. It's at home. It would just seem stupid to not bet on this game. I think North Carolina continues to roll.
I like that, Devin.
That
I like
pick.
that. Solid,
pick,
yeah.
Devin, yeah.
It's solid. Give me a lot of points scored in that game, I think.
I would
Next
agree.
up,
Yeah, it's going to be a high scoring game.
next we'll get into our underdogs here, +6.5 or greater dog that you think can pull off the win. I'm going to go with the team that just got a win and another team that's looking bad now. That's Rutgers, big time here, +14 against Minnesota. I think at the very least Rutgers can cover, but I think they can get the win against the Gophers. 14 points is a lot. Rutgers still has a top 10 defense in the country, so I think they'll play well.
So I didn't have an underdog coming into today. And then, Bradley made a good point. He is leading the pack in the underdog. So I just went with his pick. Eastern
my
Michigan Eastern Michigan +7 over Toledo.
Jesus.
This is that's an absolute scam.
Yeah, what the heck?
I had nothing else, man.
Oh
Just
my
pick
gosh. All right. Well, for my underdog, I went with another fraudulent team. I think NC State is awful, and I think Virginia Tech is at least going to cover against NC State. I have NC State favored 13.5. I don't know if it's changed since then, but I think they're terrible. Oh my gosh. Bad.
Thursday night game too, so we'll find out quickly if that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, for my dog, I got Wazoo, Washington State +7 against Utah. They're sneaky good. I think they could possibly go and get the dub this week.
I respect that. This one's a little bit of a homer pick, but I'm going to take Nebraska +7. At home, they're coming off of a bye. I think Mickey's going to come in with a great game plan. I think Bill Bush is going to have the guys dialed in on defense. Not sure if they're going to win, but I think it might be a lot closer than people think.
Yeah, I like that, Devin. I was looking at a bunch of model projections that a bunch of different college football media outlets have, and every single one of them has Nebraska covering that point spread. So I was a little surprised to see that, but apparently the models are high on Nebraska. I don't know. Beats me. Let's get into our
We'll
picks.
get to that when we get to my pick on that game.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Let's get into our picks. So we're just picking straight up here, money line, winner, loser. We got a Thursday night game, late night too, 9 o'clock Central start. So number 14 Utah -8 at Washington State. Connor, I'm curious to see if you're going to double down on Wazoo with your pick here too for the win. But anyway, I got Utah.
Yeah, nothing else to say here. I got Utah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that one, Utah.
Max, I'm not going to double down. I'm going to hedge my bet here.
There we go.
Go with Utah, but Washington State covers.
I'm also taking Utah. I do think Washington State may cover. It's gonna be a good one. A little Pac-12 after dark on a Thursday night. You can't beat that.
This is a scary pick here because even Bradley and Headley picked Utah here. So fade the Power 5 or your fade Power 6 here, man.
Next up, Michigan State, Michigan rivalry game here. Love to see it. I don't have much to say though. Michigan's going to win this game.
Michigan's on a roll. Michigan State's not going to have a chance. Let's go Wolverines.
Is this game at Michigan? Do you guys know?
Yes.
It is at
Yes,
Michigan.
yes, it is.
Okay, because it doesn't matter because Michigan's gonna win by 40. So
Yep, I got the Wolves.
That's the Verines, Connor.
The very
The
Marines.
Wolverines. Well, I'm with Connor. I'm taking the Wolverines as well. I think Michigan is going to roll them, and it's going to be an awful day there for Mel Tucker.
Hopefully the Power Six does not curse them.
Next, Notre Dame, Syracuse. This one is a just total coin flip for me, to be honest. So because of that, I'm going to roll with Vegas and go with Syracuse. Favored by a couple points.
Yep, I have Syracuse as my lock of the week, so going with Syracuse here.
yeah, big Syracuse basketball fan. You ever seen the Express, the movie with Ernie Davis? Great movie, Syracuse football. Got to roll with the Qs, baby. Go Orange.
Yep, give me the Qs, lock of the week as well.
I'm also taking the orange. One of my favorite fruits. Riding with Vegas on that one there.
3 for 3, boys.
Good fruit. Good
Oh
fruit.
God, we're cursing a lot of teams today is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Next, Baylor and Texas Tech. I have a
Not
feeling we'll
true
be-
because Headley has Notre Dame.
Well, out of the 5 of us that are here, we are
It
3 for
doesn't
3.
matter because if Headley
True.
picked him, that's
We
not a
still have
curse.
the saving
That's
grace.
true.
Exactly.
Fade Headley. Next, Baylor, Texas Tech. I think Baylor's kind of falling off right now, and I hate to do this to Dave Aranda because I think he's a good coach, but I'm going to take the Red Raiders.
I don't. Who's favored? I think Texas Tech's favored by 2 in this game. But
Yep,
I'm
minus
still
2.
I'm still gonna roll
Yep.
with Baylor here. I think they have a pretty good team still.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Isaiah on this one. I think Texas Tech is kind of hot and Baylor's not right now, but I think Baylor gets back on track this week.
I got the Red Raiders in this game.
What's Baylor's record right now? I'm trying to look that up real fast.
I think they're like
4 and
500.
3.
4-3. Okay.
That's what I want
I'm
to
s-
say.
Yeah, I'm still taking the Bears. I think if they want any shot at fighting their way into a Big 12 championship rematch with Oklahoma State, they're gonna have to win out. So I'm taking the Bears.
Nice. Next, Northwestern Iowa. I'd love to see Northwestern pull off an upset here. Could be an ugly game, low over under, but I gotta go with the Hawkeyes. That defense is too much.
I agree, Max. I got the Hawkeyes here too. If I had to do a score prediction, it's going to be 10-0 with a defensive touchdown by Iowa.
That was exactly what I was gonna say. Iowa wins. Spencer Petras plays terrible. What's new?
Iowa wins. Spencer Petras and Alex Padilla play terrible. Brian Ferentz coach is terrible, but we win. Iowa win.
I'm also taking Iowa. I do think this will be the game that kind of solidifies who the starting quarterback is going to be going forward. Just based off of whoever's going to play better, really. They're playing a pretty bad Northwestern team. So whoever gets out there and gets the offense going, I think is who we're going to see moving forward. I do think Iowa's going to win though. Low scoring. I'm going to go with 17-3.
Next, Oklahoma favored by 2, traveling to Ames to take on the Cyclones. I think Iowa State wins this game. Iowa State defense is 6th in the country in points per game allowed. And their offense isn't that great, but I think the Oklahoma defense is bad enough right now to let Iowa State score some points. So I think it's a good matchup for the Cyclones.
This was a hard pick for me, so I just went with Vegas here and I picked Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Iowa State. I'm gonna say their receiver that they have, I can't think of his name right now. I'm gonna say he goes off and Iowa State pulls it off.
Yep, I'm going with Vegas as well. I got Oklahoma here.
I'm also going to go with Vegas. I think the Oklahoma offense is a completely different animal with Dylan Gabriel behind center. I think they're going to put up a lot of points, and it's going to be close. It's going to be a high scoring affair because the Oklahoma defense isn't good, but I do think Oklahoma will pull away with the win.
Nice, nice. Next, Florida and Georgia is our spread pick of the week. It's a 22-point spread, so we are picking against Vegas here. This one's a tough one for me. I don't think Georgia is as good of a team as they're going to show, or as they're going to play like this weekend. It's a rivalry game, so I do think Georgia covers, but I don't necessarily think that's indicative of the team that they are.
Is this game at Florida?
It's always a neutral site game. It's in
site.
Oh, okay.
Jacksonville.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I still don't think Georgia's going to cover here.
I'm gonna say so. I know Florida's not ranked, but I still consider them an above average SEC team, maybe middle of the pack SEC team. I think Georgia goes out and absolutely dominates, and I think they cover here.
Yeah, I've been pretty bad on my spread picks in the last couple weeks, but I'm gonna roll with Georgia here. Hopefully they cover.
I got a feeling this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. Georgia has definitely shown some signs of weakness these last few weeks. While Florida doesn't have a super great quarterback, I think they're going to still find a way to put some points on the board. So I'm going to go with no.
Next, 15th ranked Ole Miss travels to College Station, Texas to take on A&M. Guys, Vegas hates Ole Miss for some reason. They were a dog last week to LSU, although Vegas was very much so right on that. And then they're only 2.5-point favorite against what I believe to be a bad A&M team. So I don't know. I'm gonna still take Ole Miss though.
Yeah, I've said it week in and week out that A&M's a fraud team. I'm going Ole Miss here.
Yeah, no questions here. Ole Miss.
Vegas also seems to love Texas A&M, putting them in every game, but I'm going with Ole Miss here.
I don't know what ESPN uses for their lines, but right now, just looking at it, they have Ole Miss favored by 2.5 now. So that might be based on the news that some players got suspended or whatever the case may be. But I think it is disrespectful that it's only 2.5. I think Ole Miss is going to roll, especially after losing last week.
Now, Oklahoma State and K-State ranked matchup here. This game opened Oklahoma State favored, has now shifted to Kansas State being the favored team. I think the Wildcats looked really good last week, and I think Oklahoma State, they blew their lead against TCU. They looked shoddy at times last week against Texas, so I think the Wildcats pull this one off.
I've been riding Kansas State all year. I'm sticking with them. I said that wrong. I've been riding with Okie State all year. So I'm sticking with them here. Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I completely disagree. Will Howard for president, Deuce Vaughn for Heisman. Go Cats, baby. Let's go.
Yep, I'm with you, Andrew. Will Howard, he's my favorite player in all of college football. So I'm going with K-State.
I think Adrian Martinez is going to be the difference maker on whether or not this is a game. If he's healthy,
Will Howard.
Did you not see Will Howard last week? What are you talking
I still think Adrian Martinez is the better quarterback. So I'm riding with Oklahoma State. I'm just gonna roll with that. I think they're gonna come out and they're gonna play super well.
I will say I think either Will Howard or Amar will have a great day against an Oklahoma State defense that is bottom 15 in the country. Next, Kentucky and Tennessee. I think this line is a little low, especially being at Tennessee. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I got Tennessee.
Not much to say here. It's going to be the Vols.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker, baby. Tennessee.
Balls.
I got Tennessee as well. Not much else to say.
Moving on to Ohio State and Penn State. This might be a not much to say game as well. Certainly is for me. I just got the Buckeyes.
Give me those nut guys.
Yeah,
Barry Sandusky thinks that they're the nut guys.
No. Anyways, I got Ohio State, and I think it's gonna be big. I think it's gonna be a statement dub. I don't think Penn State's very good.
I got the Buckeyes. Shocker.
I also have the Buckeyes.
Now, finally, the Husker game. Ranked Illinois team is coming to Lincoln. That the line has shifted to Illinois favored by 8 points. Pretty much most everywhere you look now. Like I said, I hate to do this, but I think Illinois is going to win the game. I got to do this, for my picks. But I really hope that I hope that it is dead wrong. I hope that it is dead wrong. Go Big Red. But I got the Illini winning 28-21. So the Huskers do cover.
So every time I pick
that a push?
against,
Well,
Depends.
it's -8 most places now.
Oh, I thought it was -7.
It keeps shifting a little bit towards Illinois, 7.5, 8 right now.
Gotcha.
every time I picked against Nebraska on the picks this year, the opponent has won. I'm going Illinois here. I don't want Nebraska to lose, but for the sake of the picks, you gotta pick from, professional sports media company here. I had to pick Illinois. I have a score of 35-28.
Yeah, exactly what you guys said. I think Illinois' defense is just tough, and ours hasn't looked great. I'm gonna go Illinois as well. And I'm gonna say 31-24.
I have Illinois 29-22.
Very interesting score. So I told you guys that it was going to get interesting once we got to this point. My underdog, obviously, Nebraska at +7. I am, however, taking Illinois to win, but I think the final score is going to be 27-21. And I'm hoping we all picked Illinois. If things continue, we might just be enjoying a dub this weekend.
That would be nice, and that would be
Knock on some wood, but
Hey,
first
I would not
place-
be upset about that.
that'd be a
Exactly.
first place in the Big Ten West Division win right there.
Exactly.
Lincoln would be very rowdy that night, to say the least.
Yeah, that'd be a damn good time.
I'm pumped to be there.
Well,
Well, I think that can do it for us this week. You think, Isaiah, man?
I was just gonna note, the first two games we picked there, everybody picked the same team, and the last three games, everybody picked the same teams. So there could be a lot of good or a lot of bad here with those 5 games.
Yeah, I feel like there's not going to be a lot of ground made up this week between anyone because there's a lot of games with a lot of similar picks. But that's okay.
I will
I'm gonna
I will
have the
say
first
Headley has a
undefeated
chance.
week, so
I will say Headley has a lot of different picks compared to Max and I. Even Bradley there, since those 4 are pretty close there. The top, even Connor, top 5 there is pretty close. Just Devin's got to turn it around now.
Yeah, whoever that guy in number 1 is, though, I don't know. He's been up there for a while.
that guy doesn't know shit. He's lucky as hell.
It's a
Yeah.
long season. I wouldn't write anybody off just yet. Okay.
The 2 through 5 positions. Me, Headley, Isaiah, and Brad. We got a close competition here.
Yep. It's anybody's ball game behind Max there. So, well, we'll go ahead and get things rolling. Thanks, Andrew, for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. We've been wanting to
Thank
get
you,
you on
Andrew.
here for a while.
Tons of fun.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you hopping
Sure.
on.
Yeah, for sure. DK boys.
Yeah. Hey, good luck to your Knights tonight.
Thank you. We start off in about 40 minutes. Yeah. Go Knights.
I'm going to get ready to turn that on, actually.
Yeah, facts. Night Sharks, baby.
All right. Thank you all for joining us tonight and listening in or watching on YouTube. We really appreciate your guys' continued support. 10th episode. It's a milestone for us. We got to celebrate some way, somehow. We really appreciate the support. Again, make sure you keep up with our social media platforms. Max with Twitter is rolling really good. I can work on Instagram. We know that. But, stay listening to us and watching us on YouTube. We really appreciate it. As always, have a good and safe weekend and go Big Red.
Go Hawks.
Go Big Red.